Hello guys, this is Mahi from the Wootton Computer Science Honor Society. Today we are going to be discussing the various reasons you'd want to use an if, else if, or else. We will also be discussing some logical operators, which are and or. To start off, we will be discussing the and logical operator. The symbols that actually represent and in Java are two ampersands. You can find the ampersand by pressing Shift 7 on your keyboard. So for example, let's say an individual for a certain competition is only eligible for awards if he has completed 7 time trials and no more than 10. This is a situation in which the and symbol, the and logical operator in Java, would be applicable. So let's create a variable for time trials to see this in action. And let's say this certain person has completed 12 time trials. So only if that person has completed 7 time trials, so if he's completed more than 7 and he has done no more than 10. And if this person is eligible, we will print out so this first condition should evaluate as true, correct? Since he has completed 12 time trials. But the second condition will evaluate as false because he's not completed less than 10 or 10. So if one of the conditions in an and conditional evaluates to false, the entire conditional is false. So this should not print out when I run. Yes, and nothing is print out. The next logical operator we will be discussing in Java is OR, denoted by 2 vertical bars. You can find it on your keyboard by pressing Shift \. Now, let's say to be eligible for an honors program at a certain school, you need a GPA over 3.5 or 7 recommendations. If we make these 2 variables, obviously GPA would be a double. Let's say this certain person has a 3.4 and they have 10 recommendations. You can't have half a recommendation, so again, an integer would be applicable. So now again, you need a GPA over 3.5 or 7 recommendations. So this person's GPA has to be over 3.5 or they have to have over 7 recommendations. If they do, we will print out that they are in the honors program. Now, this conditional should evaluate as true overall, but the first one would evaluate as false, right? Since the GPA is a 3.4 and the minimum is a 3.5. So this evaluates to false, right? So then the computer has to check the second conditional because it's an OR. So they have 10 recommendations and only 7 are required. So this would be evaluated to true, correct? So this entire conditional in the if would evaluate to true, right? So this person should be in the honors program. Now, using the information we have just learned about logical operators, we can begin to write if and else if ladders. You should only use an if or else if ladder if you only need one of the conditions in the ladder to run. So let's say we're trying to classify someone by whether they're tall, average, or short. Let's say this person is 68 inches, meaning that they're 5 feet and 8 inches. Let's say, for our standards, someone over 70 inches is considered to be tall, which is, in other words, 5 feet 10. Let's say if they are over 60 and they are less than 70, they are average. And if they're not tall or average, they're short. Now, you can ask yourself, which conditions will be evaluated for this person? So they're 68 inches tall. The first condition would be evaluated. Are they greater than 70? No. So this would not be printed out to the screen. Are they greater than 60 and less than 70? Yes, they're average. So average should be printed out to the screen. Now, for example, let's say this person, let's say a different person is 45 inches tall. What do you think would be printed out to the screen now? Well, let's check. They're not greater than 70 inches, so they're not tall. They're not greater than 60 inches and less than 70, so they're not average. So they have to be short. The next thing we will be considering is multiple ifs. For this example, I'm going to clear the screen, and we will be looking at the vertical jump of someone. Let's say this person has a 35-inch vertical jump, which is insane. Let's say if you have a vertical jump over 14, this is good for high school. And if you have a vertical jump over 24, this is good for college. And lastly, if you have one over 30, this is good for the NBA. Now, the reason why we would use 3 ifs for this is because this is some sort of diagnostic of sorts. Let's say this person is entering into some type of basketball academy and they want to know whether this is good for high school and good for college or just all 3. So let's see what this person should be good for. So they have a vertical jump that is considered good for high school, good for college, and good for the NBA. So I guess this would make that person a good applicant. Now lastly, we'll be considering an if and else ladder. An if and else ladder has a default case, which is the else, that executes if none of the other conditionals evaluate to true. So let's say somewhere in our program we've determined if this certain person was athletic. This is true, then we want to print out there are scholarships available, and if he's not, there are no athletic scholarships available. So, simply, if this person's athletic, we've already determined somewhere in the program what this Boolean value would be equal to. So let's say now it's equal to true based on some other checks. So if it's true now, then that we know that yes, there are athletic scholarships available. And that's what was printed. So let's say previously when we were determining what this Boolean value would be, let's say this is false. Now this only checks if this is equal to true. You can also write this statement like this if you're confused. So if they're equal to true, then there are, but now it's equal to false. So we don't account for that, so the else is automatically executed. A Boolean only has two values, so this works for an if-else ladder. So there should be no athletic scholarships available now. Well, that's all for our lesson today. I hope you learned about logical operators and when to use each ladder. If this video helped you, don't forget to like and subscribe to CSHS for more tutorials in the future.